A couple or three things before I start. That's a line from Phil Leotardo from Sopranos, which if you recognize that, you're very cool. A couple of things before I begin. This one is going to be a little bit different. I try to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do that's right, two albums in one. The first Iron Maiden album and the second one, which is called Killers, as you may know. I got these some time ago, but I'm only going to get around to unboxing them today. But what is, in addition to what is different about that, today or tonight I'm going to see Paul Di'Anno. If you can believe that Paul Di'Anno, original Iron Maiden singer, is playing here in my city, Cuernavaca. This is not a city that gets concerts, especially international, maybe some local bands, some national bands, maybe. But Paul Di'Anno, that's big news. So I'm going to see Paul Di'Anno tonight. A bunch of my friends are going to be there. We're all going to, I guess, have a good time. So what I'm going to do, you won't know this, through the magic of show business, I'm going to make it look as if I'm doing this all in one take. So I'm going to unbox these albums, talk about them today, and then tomorrow, which to you will be today, I'll talk about the Paul Di'Anno show right here. It's at a place called The Pit, The Pit here in Cuernavaca. So I'll talk about the Paul Di'Anno concert that was last night. It's really coming up tonight. So that's one thing. Another thing, I quoted Phil Leotardo. Now I'm going to quote Jerry Seinfeld. What's the deal with t-shirts? Look at this t-shirt. This is, I normally wear medium shirts. This is size small. I bought this a couple of months ago at Woolworth. If anybody remembers Woolworth, I got this at there. Believe it or not, there are two Woolworths in Cuernavaca. And I got this there. And by the way, this is official. This is officially licensed because it was bought in a store. And I normally wear medium. And when I picked up the medium, I thought, this looks enormous. And so I bought small instead. I don't know if you can see, but it is CH. I don't know if you can see that, which is chica. It's small. And look at the size of it. It's really long. Even the sleeves are a little bit long. I don't know if they had, and they did have extra small. I feel like I should have or could have got extra small. There should be congressional hearings to look into this. The t-shirts should be one universal size because it bugs me a little bit sometimes. You get them, I've got some shirts that could fit my dog or my cat. My cat is much smaller than my dog, that are medium. And then I've got this, which is small, and this could fit a really big person. So that's another thing. Was there something else? Yes, there is another thing. This is not quite a subplot. It doesn't qualify as that, but something peculiar, again, with Amazon. There's something strange going on with that company. Let me show you something. I ordered, in my desperation to keep you people entertained, I bought some more records so I can have more material for these videos. And last week, I placed an order on Amazon, as I've been doing since 1999 with the credit card that I've had since 1989. And I placed the order, and I got this this email that my payment was declined. All right, and it says here, update or change your method of payment. All right, now this is the same, as I said, same credit card I've used for all these recent orders, same credit card I used in 1999, and for some reason it was rejected. And when I went to my account to look at it, it showed there were two things that I bought. It said, yeah, these things, the payment was rejected. It doesn't say why. It just says to change the payment method and try ordering again. I thought, here we go again. More crap. More time I have to waste. I'm going to have to call my bank or my credit card company and ask them why it was declined, and they're not going to know, and they're going to give me some possibilities, and then I have to go jump through hoops and everything and order from Amazon again. Now that's weird. But then I guess what's even weirder was the next day, I didn't have time to call my bank or the credit card company that day. So the next day when I went to call my credit card company, I opened up Amazon to get the information I needed, and my order had been shipped the same one that they said my payment was declined. They said that it had shipped. And so very, very strange. And it arrived yesterday. So very strange dealings and goings on with Amazon these days. So I think that's all, those three things. So now I'm going to talk about the first two Iron Maiden albums. I'm going to do them together, just as I said, just to mix it up a little bit. And I don't want to give you too much. I don't want to overload, which I may be doing already. But also, more than anything, just because I think of these albums together as one. And Paul Stanley had a song called Take Me Away, Together as One. Some of you may know, I got into Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden late. I got into Iron Maiden in 1982. I don't think I'd ever heard a Di'Anno song until I saw them live in '84 on the World Slavery Tour. And, you know, on that tour they played Running Free and Iron Maiden, of course. I think that was it. And then later, the next year, Live After Death came out, so that was the first recordings I had of Paul Di'Anno. I remember seeing Made in Japan at the record store, but never bought it. I didn't know what it was, or I think I didn't even know it was a different singer. But I never bought it. That was around, whenever that came out, maybe around the time of Number of the Beast. I guess it came out before Number of the Beast. And then I only know the Live After Death versions of the Di'Anno songs, which was only Running Free, Iron Maiden, and I think on the side 4, which was recorded at Hammersmith, which they were different songs than I heard on that tour. Sanctuary, I think, and what else was there? Something else maybe? Wrathchild for sure. And then I don't think I had heard Paul Di'Anno's voice, believe it or not, I did hear Women in Uniform, because there was a video for Women in Uniform around 85, 86, 87, somewhere around there. That was my first time ever hearing Paul Di'Anno. Now the classic songs, Iron Maiden, Sanctuary, Running Free, Charlotte the Harlot, Killer, stuff like that. I didn't hear those until I got those first two albums on CD, which is probably around, I guess it would be 1990 at the earliest. It definitely wasn't earlier than 1990. I got my first CD player for Christmas in 1989, so I started buying CDs then, and I'm sure the first two Iron Maiden albums were not amongst the first two CDs I bought that first week that I had a CD player. So when I got them, and I had known that Killers was considered to be the classic, I guess it had the more popular, the better album cover. My friends who were into Iron Maiden, or people I knew who were into Iron Maiden, and just hearing about them, Killers seemed to be the more popular one. As far as I can remember, I got both of them the same day, and I actually probably could have checked that. I have the CDs over here. I don't know if I was still writing. It might have been in 95 or 98, whenever those CD reissues came out. But I was very late to the Paul Di'Anno Iron Maiden game. Despite that, I'm very excited to go see him tonight. I'm just thrilled that he's playing in Cuernavaca, because really nobody comes here. Neil Turbin, original Anthrax singer, he played here last year. So I kind of think of those records as the same. The debut from 1980 and Killers 1981. I think they sound exactly the same. To me, it's almost as if, and I feel the same way about Peace of Mind and Power Slave, it's almost as if they went in, recorded whatever it is, 19 or 20 songs, and then put out the first album in 1980, and then put out similar to what Metallica did with Load and Reload. To me, those albums are really twins. I see no real difference between the first Iron Maiden album and Killers, which was a year later. I, by far, not even close, prefer the first one. Now, I like Killers, but not nearly as much as the first one. I think maybe you can leave a comment down below. Again, I hate to say that, but I do appreciate when people do leave comments. Is it true amongst Iron Maiden fans that Killers is the more popular one? And if anybody wants to write which your preference is, for me, like I said, not even close. And it's not that I don't like Killers, it's that I love the first album. And Paul Di'Anno tonight, or maybe I should say last night, is going to play or did play, I guess, all of the first two albums, those two, the debut and Killers. And they were very, very different. Iron Maiden, this is, you could put Iron Maiden in the same category, the early albums, as Slayer. If you compare, Show No Mercy, and not quite as much, but Hell Awaits to what Slayer became, very, very different. Anthrax, Fistful of Metal, was totally different than what they ended up sounding like, was considered classic Anthrax. Even Metallica, Kill 'Em All, it was great, but they changed a lot. Megadeth, Killing Is My Business, some even totally different style of music, but Red Hot Chili Peppers, those first one, Freaky Styley and Uplift Mofo Party Plan, were pretty different, actually very different than what they ended up becoming. I guess maybe Mother's Milk was kind of a bridge, and then once they got to Blood Sugar Sex Magik, very different. And I think Iron Maiden was like that. Those first two records, they were very raw, very different, not just because of Paul Di'Anno's voice, but the style was different. Their songs were much, much shorter. They had a couple of songs that were like 3 minutes. And some years later, just 2 or 3 albums later, they were writing 13.5-minute songs. So very different. Different style, different sound, different lineup. Dennis Stratton played on the first one. He was gone by the second one, and Adrian Smith had replaced him. I guess that was the only lineup change, right? Yeah, I think that was. So yeah, I don't have the attachment, and I never had the attachment to the first two Iron Maiden records that I did to Number of the Beast, Power Slave, and then continuing on past there. But obviously I did grow to like them and even love the first one. So I am going to unbox them now. They came separately. And something else, it's something else. I don't know if I mentioned this before. Something else that's weird about Amazon. Some of the things I order come from Amazon Mexico. Some come from Amazon US. When I've ordered them from Amazon US, I had like 4 or 5 or 6 in my cart several weeks ago, and I clicked checkout to pay for them all at once, and I was charged. I was going to be charged. I didn't confirm the payment. I was going to be charged like an extra $20 or something for customs, and then all I did was order them separately. I think I could get by with ordering 2, so I ordered 2, and then the next day ordered 2 more, and then the next day ordered 2 more, and I didn't have to pay. So I think that was why these came separately, but I think I did order them at the same time. I will open the first album first. I try to keep this deployed. It's a waste of time to do this now, but I also don't want to leave it deployed, because then if my cat knocks it over, she might, cut her throat open or something, so I don't want my cat to get hurt. So here's the first album. And I'm very happy to see that it's in frustration-free packaging. We'll see if this has a hype sticker or not. And I've never had these on record. I've only had it on CD. So it's, let me make sure it's the right one. Yes, it is. It even says so right there, Iron Maiden. So I never had these on record, only on CD. And now for the packaging, the Number of the Beast, which I did maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, did have a hype sticker. Power Slave, which I did earlier this week, did not have a hype sticker. So let's see if this or if these two have them or not. I'm gonna predict no. No hype sticker. So there it is. And I'm not quite as excited about, for me, opening these records recently. It's been a real thrill to see them, on record again, because they were ones I had. But since I never had this one, I don't get, although it is very cool looking at any Iron Maiden record. So there's the front. Is this the, I think this is the original artwork. If you remember in the 95 or 98 reissues that came out, on CD anyway, they changed the coloring of them. Number of the Beast was the most obvious one, but I think they changed the color of this too, made it a little bit darker, and the artwork was a little bit different. I think this is the original artwork. I'm not sure. But man, that Iron Maiden font, that's a joy to see. And there's the back, if I didn't show it already. I'm not going to open it or do the track by track just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to open, this is going to be, I hope, this is going to be Killers. See, and this one had, oh no, that one had the airspace as well. All right. Whoops. And is this, now this is not frustration-free packaging like the first one was. Amazon is very inconsistent. All right, and thank you, Amazon, for getting it correct. It is Iron Maiden Killers. It's not Disintegration by The Cure, or Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, or pornography. It is Iron Maiden. Oh, this was frustration-free as well. No trademark, no patent, but I don't feel frustrated in the least. I feel very relaxed after opening that. Oh, now I do love Killers. I will say, as much as I love the first record more than Killers, Killers is a way better album cover. Yeah, look at that. I had this shirt when I saw them in 2000. They played in Mexico City in 2008 and then came back in 2009. And in 2009 they didn't have event shirts, but they had official shirts, and I did have the Killers shirt. That is a classic album cover. And again, no hype sticker. All right, cool to see this in big detail. There's a sex shop, the Ruskin Arms. Ruskin Arms is not there. And there's the back, if you're interested. And now, here's where the showbiz magic comes in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up and go through them track by track. Yes or no. I'm going to make a cut right here, and I'm going to go see Paul Di'Anno soon. And then tomorrow, I'm going to come back and I'm going to go through them track by track. But before that, I'm going to tell you about my experience with the Paul Di'Anno concert. So don't get confused. This is not black magic or any kind of magic. It's just some showbiz editing. We in the industry, we do these kinds of things. Maybe you peons don't understand these things. It's kind of complex, I understand. But so next, I'm going to talk about Paul Di'Anno concert from last night, and then I'm going to open these up and go track by track with the first two Iron Maiden albums. So here I am on the same day as the first part of the video. It's not the next day, it's the same day. As you can see by the continuity, everything is the same. Continuity, it's what we say in the industry. It's something that, when everything is like this. Sometimes you see movies where a guy is maybe wearing a watch, and then the camera cuts away and it comes back, he's not wearing a watch. That's a continuity error. It's things like that. You can see it's the same day. Everything is the same. The light is the same. No, it's not. It's the next day. And I kind of blew it. There was no reason. Now, at this point, I know there's no reason to do this video in two sections. I could have done it all today. Because the idea was that I was going to show you those two Iron Maiden records, the first one and Killers, and I unboxed them, which I did earlier in the video. Not yesterday, but earlier in the video. And then normally I would have sliced them open and talked about them track by track. But the idea was that I was going to go see Paul Di'Anno live here in my city in Cuernavaca and get him to sign the records and then come back and show you the records today, the day after the concert. But that didn't happen. I did go to the concert, but I didn't get him to sign the records. That's a story which it's not a story, it's part of a story which I'll get to. But hopefully the continuity is the same. I did try to keep a fluid feel throughout. It wasn't too much work. I just had to, wear the same clothes and go to the mall for a couple of hours and find a good, very professional razor that could trim my hair to the exact same length as it was yesterday. So when you go back earlier in the video, you'll see that my stubble is the exact same length. It wasn't very difficult. But now I am going to shift gears. The records are open. Here they are here. They are unsealed because I had unsealed them and was going to get Paul, as I call him Paul. You might know him as Deano. I was going to get him to sign them, but that didn't happen. But before I get to the track by track of these two records, I'm going to talk about his concert last night here in Cuernavaca. This is probably going to be a little bit long. It's not a review, it's just my experience at this concert. All right? And I'm going to give some very specific details. I'm going to tell you my whole night. So, first of all, he played here in Cuernavaca. Now, I've been an Iron Maiden fan. It's been established since 1982. I had never seen Paul Deano before. And all the times I've seen Iron Maiden since 1984 was always in big arenas and stadiums. So Paul Deano, amazingly, was playing here in Cuernavaca, in my city. My city is not a city that gets international bands or sometimes even national bands. They get local bands. But so when this was announced a month ago or something, I was in shock that Paul Deano was going to play in Mexico, and in Cuernavaca, and I thought, if it were in Mexico City, maybe I wouldn't even have gone, because, Mexico City gets, well, not every band, but they get a lot. But the fact that it was in Cuernavaca, my city, pretty close, it's probably 7 or 8 kilometers from my house, the venue. I thought, oh my God, I can't miss that. Plus, I love Iron Maiden. And to a lesser extent, the Paul Deano albums, although I do, as I mentioned, love the first album. And Killers more and more, 42 years later. So I bought my ticket when they went on sale like a month ago. 350 pesos, which is around, I think that's these days around $18 US, something like that. I thought that's a very fair price to go see a legend at this point. I think Paul Deano can be considered a legend, a living legend, maybe barely living, which I'll also get to. But I was very, very excited. And now he was playing he played at a place called The Pit, which I think I mentioned that earlier, which was yesterday. And I hate this place. It's hot. It's 800 degrees in there. Even in the winter, it's so hot there. It's not particularly nice. It's just black walls, nothing on the walls, no decoration, no effort, no lights. The lights on the stage are just static. There are no strobes or flashing or changing or anything. They're just a few purple and I think a few yellow lights. The service there is not very good. Nobody really works there. There's no security whatsoever. There's a couple of girls that work at the bar, and that's about it. There's a guy that checks the tickets, or your ticket as you go in. That's it. There's no security. There's no sense of management. It's really, really a bad place. I hate going there. There have been a couple of shows there that I wanted to go see, some Mexican bands that I really liked that I wanted to see, but I passed. I mean, I'm not going to pass on Paul Deano out of principle, but I am going to pass on some of these, somewhat local bands just because I hate this place. Now, the first thing I thought of when it was announced at the Pit, it's upstairs, which is part of the reason why it's so hot. So it's on the second floor. And it's directly below the sun, and it's a fairly low ceiling. There's nothing above it. It's the top floor of a second floor building. So the sun beats on it. And here in my city in Cuernavaca, it's sunny. They say 350 days a year with sunshine we average. So the sun is pounding on it constantly. There's really no ventilation to speak of. They have 2 ceiling fans, one kind of near the back or front, whatever you want to look at it, and one on the opposite end, that really don't do anything. There's no air conditioning, that's for sure. There's really no fans to speak of. They have some windows, but I mean, they don't really do anything. But because it's on the second floor and Paul Deano has been confined to a wheelchair for a number of years now, I said to my friend, and I had a good time. Actually, I loved it. Before I go too much further, if you want to know the final verdict, I had an awesome night. I had a really, really good time. I loved it. Way, way more than I thought I would. And I was looking forward to it. So when they announced this, I texted my friend who I went with last night. I said, how are they going to get him up the stairs in the wheelchair? Because It's upstairs, and you have to. It's one of these stairwells that goes like this, and it's there's not a lot of room, and he's not a light guy. Not to mention plus the wheelchair. I thought, oh my god, and I'm sure people get up in wheelchairs in much more difficult places than this. But I thought, oh, that's going to be a nightmare getting him up there. So I got there. Now this show was supposed to start. There were 3 or 4 opening bands. They said the first band was going on at 8 sharp. They went on at 8:17, which by Mexican standards is like as on point as you can get. They specifically said early show, Paul Di'Anno will be playing at 10 o'clock. Well, Paul Di'Anno played, I think I think he started around 11:40 or 11:50 or around there. I don't know what time it was. Very, very late. So I watched all the opening bands, and I was with my friend Puma and Falomir, and we ordered some pizza, if you're interested in that. And we saw, I didn't know, and I don't think anybody knew who his band was or what his band looks like. It turns out that they were there. Of course, being a Canadian, I got there right at 8 o'clock. And I recognized some guys, because I was wearing a Van Halen shirt. And almost as soon as I was walking in, a guy, kind of an older guy, said, Eddie Van Halen, the best guitarist ever. And it turned out that guy was the guitarist, one of the guitarists for Paul Di'Anno. So his and his son was the other one. I'll maybe explain that later. This is maybe not so interesting. But so his band was there from 8 o'clock. Di'Anno at like 10:15, 10:30 was still not there. I was sitting beside the window, and then I saw a big white van pull up, and I thought, oh, this is probably Di'Anno. And then I saw them open up, and they put the ramp out, and I could see Di'Anno. I was sticking my head out the window like this. The van was parked on the street, so I saw them wheeling Di'Anno out of the van and kind of got up to the venue. And I saw a bunch of guys kind of trying to help, but obviously he needs help to get upstairs. And I realized that my friend Puma, my good friend, was one of the guys who was doing it. Puma is legendary in Cuernavaca. He sometimes does sound at the pit. He has a recording studio here. He brings a lot of bands here. And we've seen a bunch of shows together and concerts together and had some really good times together, Puma and I. And I realized that Puma was one of the guys that was trying to lift Paul Di'Anno in his wheelchair up the stairs. I think there were 4 or 5 guys. And so when Di'Anno got upstairs, now this is what kind of sucked about the timing. The last band, the bands were very quick. Those first 3 or 4 bands, as soon as one finished, it was probably only 15 minutes before the next one was ready to go. And they were playing relatively short sets. I think the first 2 bands only played about 20 minutes. The last 2 maybe played 40 minutes, something like that. The problem was when the last opening band played, just a minute, I gotta check something. Just a second. You know what I was checking? I was checking to see if I had started recording. Sometimes that's my greatest fear, is that I spend like 30 minutes talking and found out that I hadn't started to record. Just something popped into my head. I thought, shit, did I start recording? And I did. So getting back. So the problem was by the time the last band finished playing to the time Di'Anno started playing, it was like a long time. It was maybe an hour. So everybody was sitting around bored. I guess, you're drinking beer and everything and you're with your friends, but it was starting to get late. So anyway, Puma told me after he came back from helping Di'Anno up the stairs, he said that when Di'Anno saw the stairs, he said, I'm not going up there, I'm canceling the show. He was like scared to, and I don't mean that in a sissy way, which I'll maybe also get to that later too. That will maybe play a part. He said he didn't want to go up the stairs. He didn't want people, he felt unsafe. And he said, no, he said, I'm canceling. I can't go up there. And anyway, he did get up there. And then they put him, that sounds like he's like a piece of property or something. There's kind of like it's kind of like the building is kind of horseshoe shaped. The pit is on this side, and then on the other side of the building that goes around, it's also their space, just a big open space. I guess that's what you would call the backstage area. So they station him there in his wheelchair. This is all kind of sad. And I saw him drinking some beer. Puma had also told me that his people, because Puma knows everybody, including the people at the venue, the pit. I guess Diano's people, and maybe I'm talking out of school, but apparently they were kind of taking advantage of the venue. They asked for like a lot of beer and pizza. I think there was just more than beyond his band. I guess there were two. It looked like two guys that were with him for sure, like part of his crew, and one guy who I wasn't sure if he was with the venue or if he was with Diano, but apparently his people were maybe taking a little bit of advantage. So anyway, so then I thought, wow, then they have to wheel him out through the crowd because behind the stage, not backstage, but behind the stage, it's just a wall. That's it. There's nothing else. The only way to get to this stage is through the crowd. And there were maybe 100 people there, maybe 80 or 90 people. I don't know. I don't know if I'm good at estimating that. Which is a lot for Cuernavaca, kind of a small place, and a Thursday night. So they wheeled him through the crowd, and then they had to hoist him up on the stage. The stage is maybe stomach high for me, maybe waist high, maybe 3-4 feet, 1.20 m, something like that. So they got him up on the stage, and everybody cheered. And before it started, he announced to the crowd. Now, Diano had not canceled. He played Mexico City about a month ago. He did like 4 or 5 songs or something, and then couldn't do it. Whether it was the heat or the altitude or traveling or whatever, he couldn't continue. He was so sick that he couldn't continue. And so when he got up on the stage last night, he took the mic even before they started playing. He said, and this was not a good sign. It turned out that it was okay. He said, hey, you know what? I'm doing this show very sick. I have pneumonia. And I thought a couple of things. One, if you have pneumonia, should you really be doing something like this? And also I thought, isn't pneumonia contagious? Aren't you exposing everybody to pneumonia? And I meant to Google that last night. I just realized, is pneumonia contagious? I think it is. Anyway, so he said, I have pneumonia, so I'm going to try my best. And I thought, oh man, here we go again. He's either going to, bail after 4, 5, 6 songs, or he's going to sound awful, or, he's not going to make an effort or whatever. Turned out that he was great, but it didn't start up very well. And I saw the set list, and by the way, I did get the set list. There it is, if you want to know what he played. There it is. 15 songs, all from the first 2 Iron Maiden albums. Nothing to complain about here. So I saw the full set list. I thought, okay, that's a good sign. So he's not cutting it short, at least not in advance. He's planning to do a full set. So he played it. They opened with the Ides of March, and I won't do the track by track for the concert because I'll leave that to the albums that I'm going to talk about. I was really, really surprised, one, how great he sounded. He sounded really, really good. He was, I guess, hitting all the notes. He sounded very, very powerful for some reason. I guess when you see somebody in a wheelchair, it's your instinct to assume weakness or, that they're not at full strength. And so it's not a good look. But I was very surprised. He was in great spirits. He was joking around after every song. And I like that. Some people don't like, some people shut up and talk or shut up and play. I don't want to hear you talk. I didn't pay to hear you talk. I like that talking. To me, that's what makes it personal. And so he was, after every song, he was kind of making jokes and kidding around. He was in very, very good spirits. He was in a good mood. His band was excellent. The band sounded awesome. The guitarist, who I mentioned earlier, the one guitarist, the kind of older guy, the son, he had an Eddie Van Halen guitar. What was that Van Halen guitar? It's called Circles or Sia or something. It's like this, a Stratocaster body, more or less, with the black and white. I think the white circles and black and some lines. He had that guitar. Now, because I saw him playing that before, and I talked to him. I said, oh, I was wearing a Van Halen shirt, I think I mentioned. And I mentioned, you've got the Eddie Van Halen Sia guitar, or Circles, whatever it is. And he was Mexican. And he said, oh man, Eddie Van Halen's the best guitarist ever. And it turned out that the older guy that I mentioned earlier, that was his father. So it was the father and son playing guitar. The son looked like he was about 24, 25. The father looked like he was about 84 or 85. But they played great. The bassist was excellent. I think playing bass, Steve Harris's bass parts, that's a pretty tall order. But they sounded great. There are a couple of things, just a few notes here, or one or two anyway. During Genghis Khan, which was right in the middle, the 8th song, he said, I guess that was after Remember Tomorrow, he said, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm an old guy, and I need to take a break. Now, that's obviously while the band is playing Genghis Khan, an instrumental. And so as soon as he said that and they started playing, he took a pack of smokes and he lit up a smoke, and he was smoking. And, I kind of, it made me a little bit uncomfortable seeing a guy confined to a wheelchair with, legs. His legs are in really bad shape. He said he's getting them worked on in Mexico. I guess this is how he's paying for it, is by doing this little tour. And I thought, that's not a good look, seeing a guy with obviously, and I think it's diabetes he's got. His legs are huge. They're kind of purple, red. He's in a wheelchair. He can't walk. I don't even know if he can stand. Sitting there smoking, that's not a good look. And also, he was drinking the whole time. He drank a lot of tequila. He was drinking. There was some beer on the little table beside him. By the way, there will be a video of this. I took video of Murders in the Rue Morgue. By the time you see this, that video will be up, I'm sure. So that was a little bit, I didn't really like that, seeing a guy in such poor health, drinking and smoking. I guess you do what you want. What else? At some point, his microphone, this is towards the end, his microphone just cut out. Not while he was singing, but between songs while he was talking. And he's tapping it and he's saying it, and people are scrambling, trying to fix it. And this went on, and it felt like it was taking forever. And then at some point, some jackass, some real obnoxious jackass yelled out, "This would never happen in an Iron Maiden concert." And then everybody stopped and turned around and stared at me and told me to shut the hell up and everything. But anyway, they fixed the mic. First they tried changing the batteries. That didn't work. Then I think it was the problem it was a wireless mic. There was a problem maybe with the receiver. So a little technical problem, but no big deal. Another kind of disappointing thing, or I don't know. He's quite homophobic. He made several homophobic comments. One was, what did he say? He was pointing out after every song how hot it was. He was saying, "Oh my God, it's so hot here," and he's wiping the sweat. And then he kind of did it like he was mocking himself, saying, "Oh, I'm so hot," doing like mocking like a gay voice. "I'm so hot," like I guess like he's pointing out that he's feminine or that he's gay for being hot. What else did he say? There was another one was he was always telling the crowd, "Come on, let me hear you, let me hear you." And he said, "That's not loud enough." He said, "This must be a gay bar." He said, "This is not loud. This must be a gay bar, right?" And what else? He said something else too. He made like the Mr. Roper used to do on Three's Company, like that. I think he made the Tinkerbell signal, something like that. But that wasn't the best. But it didn't affect my enjoyment of the show, but just something that I thought I would point out. Now, at the end, so he finished. Of course, they take him right off the stage. They come and they lift him in the wheelchair off the stage, and they took him back around the horseshoe to the other side. And I was talking to, something else that was very cool about this. So I was with Puma and Falomir, and also an old student of mine, when I used to teach in schools here. This guy was a student of mine in 2011. He was like, I guess at that time he was probably about 15 years old, and he was a student of mine in high school when I taught in high school. This was in 2011, I guess. And we actually saw Iron Maiden together. Him and his, at the time, best friend, Emilio, they're both students of mine, and we saw Iron Maiden together. Iron Maiden, the band, they played at the Photosol, the big stadium, on the Maiden England tour in 2013, and we went together. So he was there last night. That was cool to see him again. I hadn't seen him for years. So we talked for a couple of minutes. And then maybe even more amazing, another current student of mine, I teach online. I have students all over the world, in Brazil, Saudi Arabia, China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Turkey, Oman. And one student, this guy Beto, and I don't know if he's watching this or not, but hello Beto. He was there last night. So he's been my student maybe for a year or so in online. And it turned out that he was there last night. Incredible. Amazing. So I saw an old student and a current student. That was pretty cool. So they took Deano around to the backstage area, or the whatever you call it, the hospitality area, the green room maybe. And so I was talking to Puma and Falamir and Rodrigo and Beto, and for quite a while, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. And at one point, one of them asked me, "Oh, are you going to go get a picture with him or get him to sign something?" And I had brought the two records with me, and I left them in the car. I parked like a minute away from the venue. It's easy to park down there. So I brought these. I wasn't going to carry these around all night or hold them all night, but I had left them in the car, and I thought, if I got a chance to get them signed, I'm not going to wait, but if I get a chance, I'll go out to the car and get them. So somebody asked me, one of them, I don't know who, one of my friends said, "So are you going to get him to sign something?" And I said, "I don't know. I see a lot of people there. I don't really feel like waiting, and it's not that big a deal." And then so by the time I finished talking to everybody, there were fewer people. So I went outside and I saw there was kind of like a line to people. It looked like a line of people. It looked like maybe there were 10 people or so. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out to the car and get my records and say hello and get them. I feel very strange getting somebody to sign something. I don't think I've ever got a record signed ever in my life. I've had a couple of ticket stubs signed when I was a teenager by Slayer, when I saw Slayer in March 31st, 1985. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to get these signed. And so I went out to the car, got them, came back in, and as you go down the little hallway to the hospitality area, there's a guy standing there. I guess it's the guy from the pit who checks tickets. And I said, I can go in here? He said, "No, you have to buy merch." I said, "For what?" He said, "Like if you want something signed or a picture signed, you have to buy merch." And I said, "No, I'm out of here." So I left. So there's no way I was going to buy merch to go say hello to Paul Deano and get him to sign a couple of records. I've been listening to this guy and his band for a long, long time, I think, and I bought a ticket to the show. I don't feel like I have to buy merch to say hello and get something signed and take a picture. So I left. Kind of a late night. I think that was close to 2 a.m., 1:30, 1:40. It just takes me 10 minutes to drive home. So that was it. I had a great time. Woke up as normal. Woke up at 7 o'clock today to work, and that doesn't bother me. But what a great time I had seeing Paul Deano. Way better than I thought. The sound of the place was good, and again, Deano sounded very strong. The band played great. So that's it. Now I will get to the track by track, and maybe I'll compress this because I've already been talking for a long time. So the first record, first song is Prowler. Prowler it's my instinct to say it's my favorite Deano era song, but then when I think about it for a second, I'm not sure if it's even my favorite on this album. And to be clear, again, I love this album. Killer's not as much. I do like it, but this one I love. Amazing Iron Maiden album. Walking through the city, looking oh so pretty. I've just got to find my way. See the ladies flashing all their legs and lashes. I've just got to find my way. Well, you see me crawling through the bushes with it open wide. What you seeing, girl? Prowler is awesome. That riff. Love Prowler. And he did it. He did, I think, every song from this except one, it looked like. Remember Tomorrow's Next. This one I didn't really like too much until Metallica covered it. There was an Iron Maiden tribute album 10 years ago, maybe. I have to say, I like Metallica's version better. When I had heard this, years and decades ago. It never really caught my attention. Then when Metallica covered it, I love Metallica's version, which then made me go back and revisit Iron Maiden's original version. I still like the Iron Maiden version better though. Running Free, I'm Running Free, yeah, I'm Running Free. A little bit repetitive. When they play it live, it's it's a good sing-along song, but they used to extend it. I guess they still do extend it. I think the last time they did it was Book of Souls tour. I'm not sure, but yeah, Running Free is a good song. Phantom of the Opera is next. Now, that is maybe my favorite Di'Anno song from his era of 2 albums. I talked when I did Live After Death, one of these videos, when I did Live After Death, that when they played Revelations on the World Slavery Tour, I was not into it that much because I didn't have peace of mind at that point. And then when I saw them again in 2008 on the Somewhere Back in Time tour, the retro tour, and they were doing it, and Iron Maiden fans were going crazy. I guess this was the first time they had done it in a long time. This was 2008, and I thought, everybody's going crazy over Revelations. I don't think it's that great. I ended up loving that one. This is the same with Phantom of the Opera. I always thought the song was, it was okay. And then they played it on the Maiden England tour in 2013, the one that I saw with my 2 students that I mentioned earlier. And of course, everybody was freaking over Phantom of the Opera, and I was like, I would rather hear a lot of other songs instead. But then when they played it that night, oh my God, the crowd just went fucking crazy for Phantom of the Opera, which made me think, maybe I'm missing something. And since then, this was only 10 years ago, Phantom of the Opera has been a favorite. I think that was probably the first song, or maybe the best example of a song from old Iron Maiden that kind of showed what they were going to become later. It's kind of it's got a lot of different parts, because some Iron Maiden songs back then, they were just 3 or 4 minutes, and pretty simple rock songs. But Phantom of the Opera has the drama of Iron Maiden, the different parts, and maybe, I don't know if I'm qualified to say this, it's kind of complex. It tells a story. Phantom of the Opera, let's say for now, Phantom of the Opera is my favorite Di'Anno era song. Not just from the first album, but from out of the 2 of them. Now also on this one, now this does not have Sanctuary. Sanctuary was on the CD that I bought, like in the 90s, Sanctuary was on it. That's a great song too. That riff always reminded me of, I think is it Hello from the Gutter by Overkill, or another Overkill song? I think it's Hello from the Gutter. I had heard that before I heard, I had heard Sanctuary before. No, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, Hello from the Gutter, I think, reminded me of Sanctuary. Do you agree? Leave a comment down below. Okay, so second side, Transylvania. Instrumental, awesome instrumental. This is another one that I didn't really care about in the past, but in the last 15 years, I've seen Iron Maiden live so many times, and I did see them a lot before. They use it as their not their opening song, their intro song. They play it over the PA. Is it Doctor Doctor and then Transylvania? No, I think it's Transylvania then Doctor Doctor. And especially in Mexico, my God, when they play those 2 songs on tape over the PA, the crowd, you see the crowd jumping up and down and like rocking out. You think there's an actual band playing. So that, again, there's a lot of these old Iron Maiden songs. It took me a while to get into, but I love them now. Transylvania is a great... that was the other kind of homophobic comment that Di'Anno made. When he introduced Transylvania, he said this next song is called... What did he say? Transsexual or transvestite? I was like, no, I'm just kidding. It's called Transylvania. I guess poking fun or I don't know, at trans people. And I mean, the guy is 65 years old. He grew up in a different era. A little bit unnecessary, but whatever. Strange World is next. That's really the only song on this album that I never get into. I love all the other songs. Strange World, yeah, not really much. And I don't think he did that one, did he? No, Strange World, no. That was the only one from this album he didn't do. And then Charlotte the Harlot, that's another great one. That's a relatively short one. I think it's less than 5 minutes. But I think that also has aside from the lyrics, I think has that, what would later become that classic Iron Maiden sound and style and feel. I love Charlotte the Harlot. Show Me Your Legs, Take Me to Bed. And the last song is Iron Maiden, I guess somewhat of their signature song. Proto-thrash, I've said this before, that I think Symptom of the Universe by Black Sabbath, Let There Be Rock by AC/DC, and Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden. On the album Iron Maiden, maybe the argument could be made that it was one of the original thrash metal songs. And there's another one on the next album, which is I put in the same category. So that's it for the debut album. So I'll switch to Killer behind you. There it is. This starts with the Ides of March, an instrumental, which he opened with last night. It's fine. Good. I guess good opening to the album. More of an introduction, an intro, than a proper song, because it's only what is that, like a minute long, something like that. Ides of March, and then Wrathchild. Wrathchild is maybe my favorite on this album, and one of my favorite Di'Anno era, which is only 2 albums. I love Wrathchild. I know it's kind of not quite a staple, but they have played that live over the years, including maybe, I think, Book of Souls, they played Wrathchild. So pretty recently. Wrathchild is excellent. I was headbanging like crazy when that was the second song they played. I think they started, Ides of March and Wrathchild were the first 2 songs last night, just like they are the first 2 songs on this record. Because I'm a Wrathchild. I'm not going to sing that. Murders in the Rue Morgue. That's a great song too. That's I don't like this album as much, but not Rooters in the Moororg. Murders in the Rue Morgue. It's a great song. That I love the intro, and then how the drums come slowly in, and then it just bursts. And they open with that, and Iron Maiden opened with that on a somewhat recent tour, like since Bruce has been back. It might have been like 2003, 2004, 2005, around there, when they did all old songs. I think mostly, was that the Early Days tour, Ed Hunter? I think it was Early Days. I'm not sure. I just checked that somewhat recently. Murders in the Rue Morgue is excellent. And you might learn some French from that song as well. Another Life is next. What can I say about Another Life? That one, it never, that one never really did much for me. It was okay, but didn't really catch on with me. And I think he didn't play that last night. No, Another Life was not played. So maybe I'm not the only one that was not a huge fan of that song. Genghis Khan is next, another instrumental, just like Transylvania on the first album and Ides of March on this one. Innocent Exile is next, another one that I just never got into. Just, I don't know, it doesn't really catch my attention. Killers is next. Killers is excellent. Killers is a great song. I would say for me there are 3 classic Iron Maiden songs on this album. Wrathchild, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and Killers. Another great one yet to come. Quite different. I wouldn't call it classic Maiden, but a great song. But yeah, Killers is excellent. The next one, this is the next one I'm talking about here. Prodigal Son. I love Prodigal Son. That very kind of unique for Iron Maiden to have acoustic guitar. And that song reminds me of, and I know I'm not the only person that thinks this, but I've never heard anybody talk about this. It kind of, when I listen to it, it reminds me of 2 things, 2 songs. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll by Ozzy on Diary of a Madman. Top 8 album ever. And sometimes it reminds me of Fractured Mirror by Ace Frehley on his 1978 Kiss solo album. That acoustic guitar intro. And also, I just love that dun, 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 the strumming. Very un-Iron Maiden-like, but Prodigal Son is an amazing song. Next is Purgatory. This was the other one that I mentioned that could be, I would say it's considered, could be the first thrash album or proto-thrash. It's very fast, aggressive. And also, it's not on here, but also Twilight Zone on the CD that I had. Twilight Zone was somewhere in here. either the second last or third last song. That's a little bit of a different song too. That opening riff of Twilight Zone sounds like more like classic rock more than heavy metal or Iron Maiden. But I like Twilight. Actually, I really like Twilight Zone. And then the last song is Drifter. It's another one. Let's say that is like Innocent Exile. It's okay, and he did play that last night. Early, he played it in the 5th slot. It's okay, but not like Murs in the Rue Morgue or Killers or Prodigal Son. It's fine. So there it is. This was a long one, and this had many different facets. I think is the word you would say. And turns out there was no point in dividing this into 2 parts. But anyway, that is it for Iron Maiden. First 2 albums and the Paul Di'Anno concert. Thank you for watching. See ya.